everyone, and welcome to Tennessee This Week. We want to first welcome our panel of pundits with George Korda, who we haven't seen, it seems like in weeks and weeks. He's back with us. It's great. Courtney Piper is here as well, and Craig Griffith. A lot of things that we can get into, but let's talk about what's really top of mind right now. Everyone seems to be talking about the debt ceiling bill, the budget bill, whatever you want to call it. It's interesting, our congressional representatives, one voted yes and two voted no. And I'm wondering what you read into that, whether it goes forward or not or into the future. But Chuck Fleischman said yes, but both Tim Burchett and Diana Harshberger said no. George, we'll start with you.
Well, I don't think it's going to hurt any of them in their votes. And I think that Representative Burchett and Representative Harshbarger made their choices for the same reasons people like Barack Obama and Joe Biden, when they were in the Senate, voted against raising the debt ceiling. In fact, Senator Obama gave a very passionate and impassioned speech about why it was a failure of leadership to raise America's debt limit. And at that time, the debt was a fraction of what it is now. So I think that everybody makes their decisions for their own reasons. I think you have a very, very significant ORNL presence in Chuck Fleischman's district. He voted for it and says it was the right thing to do. Others voted against it and said, look, this is the only way that there is any means by which you can force or attempt to force the other side to agree with you, or at least agree to talk to you. And even President Biden commended Representative McCarthy, the House Speaker, for bargaining in good faith. So Bernie Sanders doesn't like it in the Senate. Others like it. Everybody's going to have their own position for their own reasons. And pretty much it's not going to hurt anybody in Tennessee who voted for it or against it.
Anyone else want to jump in?
Well, Representative Burchett hasn't voted for any of the debt ceiling limit increases in his career in Congress. And this is great political theater going all the way back to President Eisenhower, who actually was the first one to run into this battle of a debt limit ceiling increase. So, in the end, you have to look at what each side got in the political battle that went on, because that's really the only way you can measure this. And whether in the end, each side is going to come out and get what they need to move forward. So, is this going to impact Tim Burchett? No, I mean, it hasn't impacted that he hasn't voted for it before. But Chuck Fleischman has made a different calculation that perhaps voting for the speaker's plan was the best thing to do in terms of helping his district. So we'll have to see what happens in the future.
Yeah, it's certainly interesting how people have different views, but go ahead, Courtney.
This debate over raising the debt ceiling has just gotten really out of hand in the last couple of years, especially when you think about raising the debt ceiling means that we are able to pay for things that Congress has already approved through some sort of budgeting process. So raising the debt ceiling is not a blank check for new spending, but it's paying for things that we have already decided as a country we need to pay for. I imagine that the reason why Chuck Fleischman voted for this is because of the large Department of Energy presence in his district that supports about 43,000 full-time jobs. And if the United States were to default on its debt, those 43,000 people would not be bringing home a paycheck. Now, the interesting thing is that a substantial portion of those 43,000 people who are full-time employees, because we have a Department of Energy mission in East Tennessee, actually live outside of Congressman Fleischman's district. A good portion of those folks live in Knox and Blount counties, which are in Congressman Burchett's district. So it's kind of a head scratcher to me, too, why Congressman Burchett chose to vote against this debt ceiling, especially when it can be so personal to his constituents. I mean, I get all the political posturing. I don't think it's going to hurt him, but thinking about the issues that Tim cares about, Congressman Burchett cares about, it's making sure people in his district can bring home a paycheck. And if we were not to increase the debt ceiling, There's 43,000 people that wouldn't be bringing home a paycheck, and a large portion are in his district.
Don,
Do you think, real quick, George, do you think that this hurts the deal that has been unpacked and has been laid out? Does this hurt McCarthy?
It will with some of his very conservative members, just as it will hurt Biden with some of his very liberal members. But fundamentally, the discussion is that this is going to reduce the debt, or $2 trillion over what, 10 years? I forget the number exactly. Forgive me. But as things stand right now, in 10 years, the national debt will be just under $50 trillion. At the beginning of this century, it was 5.6 trillion. It is now about 32 trillion. And there's Herbert Stein, an economist, came up with a saying long ago that said, those things that cannot go on forever will stop. And what's going to happen is there's going to come the time when the government's going to look at the people and all of the obligations that the government has put on their backs. This isn't on Congress. This is on us. And they're going to say, we don't have the money to pay for this anymore. And we can't tax enough to pay for this anymore. In France, they had riots when the retirement age was raised by 2 years. What's going to happen here when people are told, you can't have the Medicare you've gotten. You can't have the Social Security you've gotten. You can't have the aid to families with dependent children you've gotten. You can't have education support you've gotten.
Except, George,
some break has to be put on this. Both sides know it, but neither side wants to be the one to speak honestly to the people.
Yes, here's the break. And I believe the Democrats warned of this when we passed the Trump tax cuts.
Courtney,
this cannot be a conversation. Let me finish.
Let her finish.
It can't be a conversation.
Go ahead. It's always all Trump all the time.
Yeah. Be a conversation about cutting spending because the needs of our country are greater. We have baby boomers that are aging into the Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid system. They were promised something that they are entitled to. And the Democrats warned that when the Trump tax cuts went in and you decrease revenue, you're going to hit problems like this. So any sort of conversation where we're talking about decreasing debt or, monkeying with the debt ceiling, it needs to be a balanced conversation between revenue and spending.
So,
well, they took all the really big drivers of the debt and spending off the table in this debt negotiation.
That is correct.
They took no discussion of Social Security, no discussion of Medicare Part A, Part B, Part D, no discussion of the Defense Department. So those are the three drivers of our spending, and yet there was no discussion about how to get a handle on any of those. And until you do some really serious discussions that are politically hostile to a lot of people, the Social Security being the third rail of American politics, until you do that, you're spitting in the wind. You're not.
A few minutes ago, it was brought up that these debt ceiling arguments have been taking place since the Eisenhower administration. It did not start with Donald Trump. It did not.
No,
and
the spending
did I suggest that it did?
From both sides of the aisle. They've all spent like drunken sailors when they get to Washington.
And it's our money.
And they talk about, we need to slow down spending, reduce government. But yet when they get there, they don't do anything to do that. And mainly because, what they dicker at, the discretionary federal spending is only 12% of the budget.
Right.
And so, you could net that out to zero. You could not do any veterans benefits. You could do no educational reform.
I'm wondering if people just don't, a lot of people don't understand debt and don't understand the negative sides of that debt. And really, like you said, Craig, if only 10 to 12% of it can be moved around, will they ever be able to sell that to the public and then get reelected? I mean, does anyone dare do it?
Well, it's a disconnect, Don. There's a disconnect. I think the government's spending too much. Well, we're going to take this away and it's going to affect you. You can't do that. You've got to leave me alone. You've got to deal with all these other people. In the meantime, the government of the United States is burdening all of us with borrowing $160 billion an hour to keep the federal government's, I think that's right. It's either 160 billion or an hour or 160 million. It's 160 billion.
Here's
my fault.
Here's the thing: they're burdening some people more than others, because I believe it was Warren Buffett who famously said he pays a higher tax rate as a billionaire than his secretary, and those things are not okay either. Everybody needs to be paying in their fair share.
Thank you.
I'll say, Don, to your question, Don, and until we get some people that have the courage to go up there and do the right thing and not care about getting reelected, we'll never get a handle on this problem.
All right. Well, with that, let's wrap up this particular topic. Let's take a break and we'll come back with much more. You're watching Tennessee This Week. Welcome back to Tennessee This Week. Once again, we're joined by our panel of pundits, and we're moving on from the budget and debt ceiling deal to the special session here in Tennessee. A lot of people are talking about it. A lot of people are talking in such a way that it doesn't seem like it may do anything. So a couple of questions, whoever wants to tackle first is it still going to happen? And will anything happen when it does happen? Craig, Courtney, George?
Well, I think, I don't think very little is going to happen. If it actually is held, you have the supermajority holding out until they have the manifesto from the shooter at the Covenant School. And I really am struggling to see what would be in that would impact the decisions that they have to make, unless they're angling for political cover by, we didn't get it, so we don't need to do anything. And that's what they want to do, really, is not anything. So, this seems to be an issue, an instance where a red flag law would have been a help. But they don't want to seem to take, the members of the legislature don't want to seem to take that step forward in common sense gun safety.
I don't know. See, that's one of these things that I think is very simple to say and very difficult to do, because, for example, a similar sort of thing, when orders of protection came out with respect to divorces, they were somewhat sparingly used initially, and now they're called the nuclear weapon. I read this today, the nuclear weapon of divorce, because a lot of lawyers will rush to get an order of protection, justified or not,
right,
because it gives their client a leg up in the divorce. Well, I'm struggling with the idea that a person has to prove they're not a danger because someone else says they might be. Now, they might be. But in this country, we don't have a system by which, because someone else says that guy is a problem, because what is that person's motivation? That we go out and take away a liberty from them and put them under suspicion and create an environment in which they're considered possibly to be unbalanced, which may be completely, totally unfair. And so these things are incredibly complex, and it's not so easy to say, well, a red flag law might work. Because if somebody drops a red flag on you because they don't like you, then the situation might be different.
Right. But I know the governor and others have said they're not going to do anything unless due process is part of it. So, Courtney, your take on that?
You're still under suspicion,
right?
Without charge, without having done anything.
So I think it's important to realize that Tennesseans want these kinds of bills, and they want this kind of legislation passed. Vanderbilt did a poll. They conducted it in April of this year. They came out with the results in May of this year, and it said the results were 82% support Governor Bill Lee's executive order on gun background checks. 3/4 of voters support a red flag gun law. And so those are pretty big majorities for a poll. You couldn't get 82% of people to agree that the sky is blue on any given day, but we have 82% of voters support Governor Bill Lee's executive order on gun background checks, and 3/4 of voters support a red flag gun law.
Well, if that's true, Courtney, then it'll have no problem. If that's true, it'll have no problem. It'll sail right through on the special.
But here's the thing. seeing these results and hearing what some of our state legislators are saying makes me think they are not listening to the will of their constituents. They are listening to the will of special interests. They have an obligation to represent the will of the people, and that means getting their rear ends to the special session in August and doing the people's business.
Let me ask you a question. Did that poll enumerate what is in the red flag law, what it would require, what the circumstances are, what the reasons are for putting someone under suspicion, how it would be handled? No. It just says, here's a simple question, here's a simple answer. But once you start digging down into it, attitudes change. And I just don't think it's right to say, because I think Courtney might be in danger, that I can make a charge or claim about her, and now she's under suspicion of perhaps being dangerous.
George, this poll and every single poll that came after it the last 2 years gives sufficient direction to the Tennessee General Assembly to do something. Do something. This gives them the direction to have the conversation, have the discussion, and figure this out. 82% of voters want to see these things happen. As a matter of fact, 72% of self-described MAGA Republicans and 81% of non-MAGA Republicans support the governor's executive order.
Well, I don't have a problem with the background check side, but I'll give you a parallel to this. When Obamacare was being debated, the New York Times came out with a poll that said 72% of Americans supported a public option. That is a government-funded federal healthcare option. 72%. It was the main headline on the New York Times. Well, I looked back into the poll. When people were asked, would you pay as much as $50 a month for a public option? Support fell to 49%. So you've got to get down into these things before you can say this.
And that is the responsibility of the Tennessee General Assembly, and that's why they need to get their rear ends to Nashville in August and have these conversations. They can't shut them down before they start them.
And I would agree with what Don said about the governor wanting to guarantee due process to people. We entrust judges to make decisions like this. A judge can take your children away.
Right.
You know, they can put you in jail. So you're entrusting the judicial system to make a informed, reasonable decision as to the applicability of a whatever red flag or temporary custody, whatever they call it. And that's where the rubber meets the road in terms of making sure that it isn't indiscriminately applied and is not, a divorced wife of a person wants to put this on someone just to get even with them. It's up to the judge to make those decisions.
You're certain of that. You're absolutely certain of that.
We won't know until they decide to pass something, and then we'll see. Will they put that in there and make sure it's clear? I mean, everyone's speaking truth here. It's just maybe different tracks, but there's obviously a lot that the General Assembly is going to have to deal with to get this by the majority of people who are okay with it once the facts all come out. All right, we're going to take another break. We'll be back with another segment right after this. Welcome back to Tennessee This Week. Our next topic for discussion is something that just came out. Massive growth, really, for Knox County and Knoxville. I think Knox County numbers don't hold me right on target with these. I think 7,000 plus people moved in here last year. Knoxville, 2,300 or so moved in. So you're looking at 9,000 plus people. We already have a shortage of housing. Housing prices are already high. How do we handle this kind of growth? And should we assume it's going to keep growing this way because our economy is pretty good? More companies are coming here. More jobs are coming here. Courtney, we'll start with you.
We should absolutely be planning for growth. Ever since I went to school here starting in 1998, people started talking about what a great place Knoxville is to start and grow a business, what a great place Knoxville is to live, work, and play. So it shouldn't be a surprise to anybody that our population is growing. We've been talking about how great it is for years and years and decades upon decades. And we have seen an improvement in our quality of life and in some of our natural assets. And we need to keep preparing for more growth. So, the trajectory, the sky's the limit for Knoxville. And the question is, can our infrastructure, our roads, our water, our wastewater sustain the growth that we are capable of?
But my takeaway real quick here, guys, is she said 1998, making her a lot younger than the rest of us. Anyway, but going back to handling
That was
this.
a given already.
That's all. Yeah. How do we really do this? Because we have shortages already. And now we just added 9,000 people, and we probably expect the same thing to happen, or maybe another 5,000 next year.
Here's what's happening. People are pouring into this area. And the realtors I've spoken with will tell me it's essentially from California, Pennsylvania, New Jersey, and New York. Those are Illinois is on that list too. They're blue states. You got people fleeing blue states and coming to the South. They're going to Florida. They're going to Tennessee. They're going to North Carolina. And so what it's going to do whenever you have a supply shortage and a demand growth, you're going to have higher prices. And you can't legislate prices down. It's not possible. You can, but then you destroy the market and it becomes a chaotic mess. You can try, but it never works. So you've got to decide at some point, all right, what are we going to, are we going to zone for more apartments? Are we going to zone for more multifamily homes? Or are we going to zone for more subdivisions? Nobody wants to see their property values go down, and they're only going up. But what interested me in the figures that were sent to us earlier today, Nashville's starting to suffer a slight decline. Nashville it was like a rocket, and now it's gone like this. Why? Because it's getting too expensive. So more and more people and companies are going to be looking at Chattanooga and Knoxville and Jackson and other places in East Tennessee, and we've been discovered, and that's both good and bad.
It's interesting because right by the TV station, just letting viewers know, in the 4th and Gill area, there was a house and a lot, and not a big lot, and now it looks like at least a 6-plex. Maybe it's an 8-plex, but it looks like at least 6 good-sized units are now going in there. And I know that that's some of the strategy. You'll see a house get torn down and a duplex or a 4-plex go up in its place. But Craig, your thoughts?
Well, that's the only thing you can do in the city. There's very little undeveloped land in the city. I mean, this really is an issue for the county in terms of how it's going to grow, where it's going to grow. And of course, I mean, we all hope that happens. We all hope that the growth in the city is sustained for, the next couple of decades, but there's really no guarantee. So, but your government has to take a look at the things that they do. They have to look at the road situation, the school situation, the wastewater situation. What are we going to do, and how are we going to keep up with the demand? So it's incumbent, and of course the county is doing that right now. They have a project underway where they're looking to the future, looking to see what the demand's going to be on their government, and the schools are doing the same thing. They're looking to see where they need to build new schools. So yes, you need to plan ahead. You don't need to look at this year's budget and then next year's budget. You need to look at your budget 10 years down the road, then where are you going to have to spend your money?
I think we only have about a minute and a half. But what about these big developments? You have these big developments, and the people who live out by these big developments, which of course would satisfy because they can build more units, they don't want them there. How do you find that balance?
Nobody ever. Yeah, that's
zoning and urban planning are two of the best tools in Knox County's toolbox that they can use to make sure that we can sustain and absorb this growth. Right. And those are the best tools that we can use. Zoning and urban planning make sure that we're not overly stressing infrastructure and that we can plan accordingly for expanding infrastructure. And, our road situation is getting out, and traffic situation is getting out of control. This is how we are slowly becoming Nashville. Some of our traffic patterns and the traffic jams with rush hour getting early and earlier, those need to be fixed.
And for heaven's sakes, put in a left-hand turn lane when you build a home development of 500.
Yeah, how does that get approved?
Here's a suggestion to everybody who wants to go to the
30 seconds.
Oppose stuff and oppose a new subdivision. If you're going to go and say it's going to make traffic worse, don't waste your time.
And this has been going on for 50 years. People have been opposing those developments. So,
hey, thank you all, and thank you for allowing me to come do this today anyway from my backyard, where they could probably put another house right here, but I don't want them to. I'll
You
go
want
on
them to
that
put a
record.
left turn light?
Well, and we don't need one of those. It's like a country road. Anyway, I want to thank our panel. Want to thank you for watching, and we'll see you next week on Tennessee This Week.
The views of guests on Tennessee This Week are their own and do not represent the views of WATE 6 on your side or Nexstar Broadcasting.